quite short, so you don't necessarily have to clap after it. The high cue I've got later on.
This one here is from Sheffield.
This one's called Shevin Seasons. A couple of years ago, a publisher in Otley in West Yorkshire was putting together a compilation of poems about Otley, and I produced this one. Otley, I know some people in here know it. It's kind of backed by something called the Shevin, which is looks like a rock face of millstone grit. And if you see it at night, it's completely black, and it looks, I think, if you come from the Fens, it actually looks quite intimidating. But the people there love it, they like it. I've talked to them and they say, oh, it's marvellous. You get some very good views from the top. And I think I've tried possibly to soften it a bit here. Anyway, this is called Shevin Seasons. Leaving dusk starved to a bark, and passing the river's night swim of shadow, cooling from low hills, I dash through the night, my shadow darting a blizzard of wings. And below the Shevin, pet squares of wheat, oilseed rape sears, and a crow scars the yellow. And after the glut, slow writhing smoke, and the river's oily flame laced with rumours of ice. And as a grey wind blackens, winter closes in. But on the Shevin's drift of shadow, snow bones thaw to a shiver of cotton grass, to a boy freewheeling, star-shaped and summer-free, tarmac bubbling the empty miles home. So that's the north done with now we kind of travel east. I've got this. That's my. I come up for a long way, so I've got to stay overnight. And I've got my hotel room on there because I went to there's a hotel there now. I went up, and when I got to the top, I'd forgotten the room number. I had to go down and say the key doesn't work, and they said it's the wrong room. So they probably thought he's from the Fens. You know. This is called Grandfather. This is a lot of my poems are kind of poems about people I knew, or composite pictures of people I knew when I was younger, etc. And this is called Grandfather. Isn't strictly speaking about my grandfather, but it's about lots of people I knew in the Fens and a composite picture of them. Grandfather. There we are, fog dimmed, out of bounds, his craggy wisdom for comfort, to dig sun-cracked earth, to press seed into silence, walk beyond the lane's dead end, to show me where gorse sparks, where a kingfisher unzips the grey. And now tufts of grass crown the road where he walked, to fill his lungs with sky, to his beach, where a tide laps sand blank, until there's nothing but a wind voicing shadow. And I remember his last day, how he heard church bells pealing, doves rubbing voices, a rum and black drowning stories back to life. And outside, a weakening sun as he sat, radio on, resting from words, a cello's dark pool closing his eyes. These are all, in fact, the poem Arms, that I'll come to in a few minutes, that won the second prize in the pamphlet competition, is later on. I don't know why I mentioned that, because I'm going to read something else. I suppose what I'm trying to say is that it could potentially be a sequence. So I know we were talking about sequences earlier. This could be a sequence if I numbered them. It would be, wouldn't it? This is called Fen Woman. Again, same sort of theme, but it's not necessarily about a particular individual. It's kind of a composite of people I knew, aware of, etc. And it's just called Fen Woman. I walked to your house at the lane's dead end, where crowflax sleets and starlings scan the sky for rain. Then back to my room, to the black snap of twigs and the poplar emptying its shadow on my crumpled meadow of bedsheets. And I think of you slipping through December's day-long dark, your hands earthed in ice, cold flooding the shivering distance home. And I remember your gas mask cobwebbed in the shed's creosote and cold, your box of candles for when the light dies. And tonight, I watch from my window as grey splashes the pane and a wind-darkened sky weighs down the light, leaving me to my dark cornered room, to a fall of snow and the tick of cooling shadows. Thank you. I do remember my grandmother did have a shed that she kind of abandoned, and as a child I loved it because it had gas masks in it and had all sorts of things covered in cobwebs. And it was just a child. It was like an Aladdin's cave, if that's the right term. This is Aunt, and this is the one that I sent in for the competition, and it was very kindly, positively commented out, so much so that they offered Janice offered to publish it as part of a collection.
Yes.
So that's marvellous, really. So I'm looking out to come in second in lots of things now. So Mo Farrow, apparently. This is called Aunt. Again, it could all. Just thinking, this is almost spontaneous. That I thought, looking at these again, they could become a sequence of some kind. I might think about in the future. Anyway, this is called Aunt. The moon's cold stare dries to frost, splintering the path to her door. Her radio squabbling, bonfire toffee boiling to a gaslit hiss. And as she talks us through the back roads, a ghost breathes back to life. How she found his scythe rusted, nettled on a sea bank, where she watched waves riding home on a spring tide. And where she lay frost hardened, sharpened the dark, trackless to her house. Curtains now drawn to blind the silence, where I hunkered down, listening to the wind turn to snow, remembering her eyes, her face, a map of years, hands twice the size of mine. It's all interesting how people who work on the land whether they're men or women, very often have quite big hands, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Again, this is the same sort of thing, really. This is becoming a bit tedious, isn't it? This is called Florrie. I had an aunt, this is kind of about her. I had an aunt called Florrie who, she died, I think she was 105 when she died. It was quite remarkable. And she lived with her daughter. And when I went to see her, her daughter was 87. And you know how you go into pubs, you can only get credit if you're 87 and coming with your mother. She could actually do that. But I remember going around, not long before Florrie died at the age of 105, and I went to her house and I said to Ethel, her daughter, "Where's Florrie?" She said, "Oh, she's outside in the garden hoeing." Yeah. And I thought, well, that's probably the secret, right, isn't it? Going home when you're 105. And this is called Florrie. Waking to the tug of sunlight on the curtain, to the sound of her hauling shadows, echoes from the well, dark water slowing her bones. Then cloud rushed to dusk, the moon on wind-toppled furrows where she stood, her scythe honed to a diamond bite. And on the marsh tonight the wind turns black pages, blood rusts to frosted leaves, and on her hands bark hardens to winter, as she sits and waits for the sleeping earth to dream up snowdrops, for a spring breeze to sharpen distant hills, clear the way for the journey home. This is thank you very much. This is a very, very short poem. It starts with a quotation from Ed. By the way, when I was, I hope my voice is going a little bit. Well, I've just got a lot of friends and relatives here tonight. We met in a pub nearby, and it was ever so loud, and in order to speak, you had to shout to them. Yeah, that's why my voice is going a bit. Not relevant at all. This actually has a quotation from an American poet called Ed Dorn. I don't know whether anybody knows him. He's kind of slightly forgotten. But the quote is, "The deceased are travellers among us," which is kind of, quite appropriate for those poems I've read previously. So in fact, I don't know why I didn't read the quotation beforehand. Anyway, this is called Funeral. And it starts with that quotation from Ed Dorn: "The deceased are travellers among us, slipping away to the old lanes, to trees antlered against the sun's cold, to that path you loved, of wind-wrapped shadow, that wilderness lost for words, where the dark hardens, leaving us a sky swollen shut, lilies loosening in a jar." And I'll finish, actually, because I have you know, I'm due to finish. This last one's called Flood. I keep you won't know this because I keep rewriting. I don't know anybody else is rewriting poems and things like that all the time. And this has been rewritten several times. It's called Flood. A toddler between strawberry rows, sitting where the tide wove kelp and shells. A caterpillar thumb thick on my palm. But as a rainbow's blue shower cools, a breeze grows thick-skinned, and fog calls from the bitten's belly. And was it seals I could hear when the wind was right, or driftwood stare creaking, darkness dripping from outstretched wings, as the river unravels, loses its name to a scarecrow toppled, to waders rising? And is it the crack of a wave on the gable end, igniting dust motes, dancing, clinging to a whisper of light? Or is it a death across unspoken fields where loneliness drips and blinks, a gunshot from a wordless farm, kicking against the moon's bone? Take a glass of